Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to call the Village of New Glarus Board meeting to order. Would you please do a roll call, Lynn?
Sure. Michael Bell,
Present.
Mike Ganchert,
Yes.
Peggy Cruz. Here. Tammy Newberry,
I'm here.
Chuck Phillipson,
Here.
Roger,
Here.
and Lori Wertz. Here.
Okay. I look for an approval of the agenda.
So move for the approval of agenda.
I'll second.
Answer.
This is Tammy.
Okay, we got Mike Ganchett making the motion. Who seconded?
Tammy.
Okay, thank you, Tammy. Item 3. Oh. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 3, public appearances and citizens' comments. No debate will occur with the board on items introduced by citizens. Items will not be acted upon at this meeting, but will be referred to the proper staff or committee if action is required. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Greg says no. Okay, moving on. I look for the approval of the consent agenda.
I would move for the approval of the consent agenda A and B. Ganchert, Mike.
I'll second.
Okay. That was Tammy. Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, extraterritorial zoning. A, approved conditional use permit application submitted by Joni Phillips for an in-home salon.
An application for a conditional use permit has been submitted by Joni Phillips for an in-home salon located at W6306 State Road 39. This falls within the extraterritorial zoning area. The ETZ board met on July 27th and recommended approval of the application. The use is an in-home salon.
Ganchert, Mike here. I just have one question. Applicant signature. What is that?
I don't. It is the signature they use to sign the document.
Interesting.
Does anyone know, is this property using New Glarus utilities or are they on their own septic tank?
I would imagine.
I did not look at.
How far out of town is this?
This is the old Paulson house. So right up at the end, right at the corner of where 39 meets up with, was it Durst?
Oh, okay.
That's probably on the municipality sewer.
Okay.
No, it's not. Why would it be?
I don't believe we provide sewer outside of village limits
No,
for
we
residential property.
we don't have sewer outside of village limits.
Okay.
Certainly don't have it out there.
The
I was
wrong.
good. I was just kind of curious if that was going to be, you know, with extra hair products, stuff going down the drain, if that was going to be more of a burden on our internal waste management system. But if it sounds like
it's a one-chair salon. It's a one-chair salon, so it's a low impact use.
You'll have the old septic system.
They have a mount.
Right, and they're not on village wastewater utility.
Sounds
They have
perfect.
a mount- They have a mount system on that property,
Okay, sounds good.
unlike a bar, which is dumping crap down all the time.
I would, make a motion,
We would need a motion.
yes, Gansrick Mike here. I would make a motion to, approve the conditional use application.
Second by Chuck Phillipson.
Oh, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Community Development Authority. Item A, approval of facade improvement grant application by Christy Lopez for Christie's Restaurant.
Ms. Lopez of Christie's Restaurant has submitted a facade improvement grant application. The application is included in your packet, or the invoices are. Mrs. Lopez's application is for $5,000 to assist in the painting of the building. Exterior painting is an acceptable use of the facade improvement grant. The purpose of the project is to improve the aesthetic appearance of the property and to properly maintain the exterior of the building. She did obtain a quote from Copeland for the painting of the building. The project will cost $18,500. The applicant attempted to obtain multiple quotes for painting specifically. However, several firms indicated they did not have the time to complete her project. She did obtain a quote for siding, and that quote exceeded $25,000. So she is looking to move forward with painting of the building, and is the CDA unanimously recommended approval.
This is Tammy Newberry. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the grant to,
This is Chuck also.
Lori Wertz, I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7, Public Works, Public Safety. Item 8, consideration, discussion, resolution 2014 regarding the 2019 WWTP CMAR report. And this is an annual report. We do it every year.
Yep, so we received a 3.78 out of 4.0 for 2019. The summary is attached for your review. Staff is recommending acceptance of the CMAR report and approval of resolution 20-14, which we will then forward on to the DNR.
I
I got-
can't insert Mike here. I have a question for Joe if he's present.
He is not.
Okay, never mind then.
This is Tammy. I guess my question would be, like what are their concerns that keep us from getting the 4? Or do we need to be concerned about that as a 3.78 considered really good, I guess?
Tammy,
It's a good score. There's no. Sorry, Mike, go ahead.
no, that's all right. I was going to say, Tammy, I could probably explain that to you since I was a former operator there. The two scores that kind of brought us down are influent, of which we have no control over, and ammonia, which occasionally does get out of hand. With all the processes involved, I'm sure that Mike is doing his very best to keep that ammonia discharge down. But on the influent, we have no control.
Okay, but we're aware of what's causing us to be short of the 4, and we are always diligently working on that, I assume, right?
I'm going to answer for Mike, and I can surely tell you with his blessing that he's doing everything possible to keep that grade up. That's what he's shooting for, is a 4.
Okay. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, the ammonia gets out of balance due for any number of variables in there. And sometimes it can just get out of control. He's attempting to control the ammonia output by natural means. And sometimes there might be a chemical addition required for that, but sometimes you don't catch that until afterwards, because you send in the results from the testing from that week and don't get the results back till the week after.
Sounds like a reasonable explanation. Thank you, Mike.
Sure.
So you need a motion to go ahead and approve or accept that grade then?
Yes.
Approve resolution 20-14.
I will go ahead and make a resolution to approve resolution 20-14 then.
I will
Cancer,
second that, Peggy.
You seconded, Peggy?
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, consideration discussion, award a contract for police department remodel project. Right?
The bidding window for the police department remodel project closed on July 16th. The village received 6 bids. Bachman Construction submitted the low bid of $493,000. The project would take approximately 130 days to complete. If the board chooses to award the project tonight, village staff will pursue a local borrow to fund the project. Just for your information, the borrow will have to come back to you for formal approval, but if the project is awarded tonight, obviously the borrow will become necessary. It would be a construction loan to be drawn upon when required. So if we didn't require all the funds of the loan, we wouldn't borrow, which would save on interest costs. The authorized amount would be $563,000. I've provided a breakdown for you. The project cost is $493,000. There's a contingency of approximately 5% of the project cost at $25,000. We estimate the furniture and technology to fill the newly renovated space will be approximately $40,000. Unrelated to the project, but an opportunity to capitalize a significant cost is there's a mandated radio purchase that PD has to make to comply with county requirements. So we would borrow for these at this time to capitalize it rather than put it into the operating budget. So the subtotal comes to $608,000. There's about $45,000 remaining in the PD remodel fund that was previously budgeted. So we would reduce the borrow by that amount, which is what takes us to the $563,000. Staff is recommending award of the bid to Bachman. On page 19 and 20 of your packets, if there's any questions, there's some debt schedules for you to look at. The first one is probably the ideal situation going forward. It shows on the right where you see percentage of limit, will show you what the percentage of debt capacity that would be remaining. So the first one has the projects that are included in there is the PD remodel in this year, 2020. It's a little, it says 550 in there, but the 563 won't change those numbers significantly. 2021, you see $1,460,000. That's the $1,040,000 that's reserved for the library project if it were to take place in 2021, as well as approximately $400,000 for Gorner Park if we choose to rebid that project and get bids that are more palatable to the village board than the last round. And then 2022, right now, there's a scheduled road project. 9th Avenue is the highest priority. Right now, it's a full reconstruction. The chart on page 19 shows the 750,000 is just the non-utility portions of the street. The others we would attempt to borrow with through revenue bonds to keep it off the GO debt capacity, and that's where the difference lies with number 20 is in 2022. If we tried to fund the street project with all GO debt, you can see that it takes us to about 80% of our capacity if we funded the street with all GO debt rather than utility revenue. So just wanted to show the board what the benefits to the GO debt are when the utility is able to borrow for projects. So 19 would be the ideal situation in the future years for those projects that we would borrow for, which keeps the debt capacity lower and would allow for additional projects in further out years as well. So going by that chart, as you can see, the highest it gets with these current projects is 69%. After we do the $1.4 million borrowing in 2021, and then 69.5% in 2022 after the borrow for the street, and then it drops as debt continues to be paid off. So if there's any questions, both Lieutenant Sturdivant and Chief Boldebuck are here, as well as the architect who put this project together for us and conducted the bid opening and put the plans together, and will be helping us through construction administration. So if there's any questions, just let us know, and we will do our best to answer them for you.
So this is Tammy. I have a question, I guess. Are these bids, even the low bids, is that kind of what we were anticipating when we put this out to bid, or not like the park where it's way out of line?
It's a little higher than we had anticipated. You know, we had kind of talked when initial conversations with the architects and staff. We had kind of hoped in the $300,000 to $400,000 range. While going through with subcontractors, though, you kind of discover some of the electrical work is outdated and requires quite a bit of work to modernize. The plumbing is outdated and needs replacement. So there were costs that were higher than estimated because they were in worse shape than originally anticipated. Bert or Jeff, I think I hit on the main marks, but if you had anything to add.
Yeah, no, Drake, I think when we were here, when all the contractors were going through it and looking at it, the comment they continually made was, wow, this is really old. This has got to get replaced. That's got to get replaced. And talking with Brad, the architect, his estimate that they've kind of figured it based on the standard constructions and everything came in at 475. So it, wasn't really totally, I guess, on a line from what the standard cost would be for everyday projects like this, particularly given the age of the building as well as the infrastructure of it being very, very, very old.
Okay.
This is,
And then, okay, sorry, go ahead, Peggy.
I just had a question for you, Bert. Thanks, Tammy. Is the perimeter, the outside, or any of that going to be replaced or improved, or are we totally internal when we look at remodel?
I'm going to let Brad Wergens from the architect firm, he can touch base on that, Peggy, and answer your question. Go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, the most notable changes are going to be on the street side of the building, where we will be relocating the main entrance for the police station to the ramp location to improve accessibility. And we'll also be replacing all the windows on the street side of the building. We'll be adding some decorative shutters to the windows closest to the main entrance, in addition to some window boxes just to play along with the theme downtown. And then in addition to that, we're going to be adding a small canopy covering over the back door just to protect that area from rain and snow.
I have one more question. With this remodel, what kind of longevity could we expect out of this remodel?
Well, the current remodel is about 20 years old, and at this point, a lot of the technology is outdated again. So I could see this renovation lasting, another 20, 25 years in that range.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, that was also my question, and then I guess my question would be towards the chief and Jeff. Are you guys feeling that this is gonna be the project that's gonna help improve to the level that you're hoping for the next 15, 20 years?
To answer your question, yes. I mean, you have to keep in mind, everything that we have is so old and outdated and not ADA compliant, not, the interview room, we've talked about that, and the whole 9 years I've been here, we've talked about making this change. So when we met with Jeff and I, and as well as all the members of the department, gave us input into it. We met with Brad, the architect, and then again with Drake during the whole process. So I think, Tammy, that this should really carry the village into the next 20, 25 years, given the projected growth that, the village will have. I think the department will always probably remain a smaller department. I don't envision 15, 20 cops running around here anytime in probably my time for sure, but in the immediate future at all. But and again, based on the construction trends, we're replacing like residential furnaces with commercial grade furnaces, residential air conditioners, residential plumbing. I mean, it takes 10 minutes to get hot water to one faucet. So that's all going to be done. And I think the other key thing is two things. Number one, a lot of this is all going to be the energy efficient stuff, the new LED technologies and all that to be more cost effective, energy efficient, the furnaces, the air conditionings. And secondly, I mean, this is only one step for this building. I think the next is going to be the village halls following our footsteps once the library gets built and moves on, and that goes. So, I mean, this is really just the first step of revitalizing this whole building to keep the public service people and the village hall people downtown in the central area of the town. So I think it's good, it's needed, it's been needed, and it should carry us into the future.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
then, just to follow up a little bit on that, when you say that, like you're putting in the new air conditioning, is any of that going to be beneficial to the other side of the wall, or is this pretty much strictly going to benefit that section, and then we'll have to do the other stuff later?
Yeah, the other
So it's two separate systems.
two separate,
Okay.
basically two separate buildings, two separate systems.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. Anybody have any other questions or anything?
We need some kind of a motion.
Okay, I go ahead and make a motion to, how would you say, accept the bid for the police department renovations from Bachman. Is that?
I'll just ask to modify that, Tammy, and make it to award the contract to Bachman Construction.
To award the contract to Bachman Construction, yes.
I will second it, Michael Bell.
Go ahead.
Can you guys hear me?
Okay.
I second it.
Yep. Sure. Then let's have a roll call vote on this, please.
Sure. Michael Bell,
Yes.
Mike Ganchert,
Yes.
Peggy Cruz,
Yes.
Tammy Newberry,
Yes.
Chuck Phillipson,
Yes.
Roger Trutman,
Yes.
Lori Wertz,
Yes.
Laura. Motion carries 7.
Yes.
Okay, it's unanimous.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, unanimous, and motion carries. You're welcome, Bert. New board business. Item 8, discussion consideration election official wages.
Election officials currently earn $8 per hour, and the chief inspector earns $9 an hour. Election official wages were last increased in 2015 by 50 cents per hour. Election officials typically work the entire day from 7:30 a.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. Conducting an election during the pandemic has increased the number of duties and responsibilities of election officials, such as cleaning areas after each voter, directing voters to maintain appropriate distance, processing increased numbers of absentee ballots, and wearing appropriate PPE for the entirety of their shift. A number of past election workers have indicated they are unable to serve in 2020 due to the ongoing pandemic. In acknowledgement of the increased duties and responsibilities related to acting as an election official during the pandemic, staff is recommending an increase of $1 per hour. Additionally, staff is recommending a one-time appreciation gift to any of the officials who worked this year, most likely in the form of chamber bucks, so that it would also benefit local businesses. Budgetarily speaking, in even numbered years, when there are 4 elections, this would increase approximately $700. For odd number years, the amount would be approximately $350 or less. So this is both to acknowledge the additional requirements placed on our election workers, and then also to try and encourage some people to volunteer to sign up to be election workers, as well as we have had difficulty recruiting election workers during this health crisis that we were going through.
So Drake, my only question would be, you didn't suggest an amount for the bonus award for the chamber dollars. Were you thinking how much? I mean, like, I guess what ballpark? What are you thinking?
Lynn, did you have a number in mind?
I was thinking in the neighborhood of $50 to $100 per person.
Okay, in chamber dollars is what you're thinking, and that would be in addition to the additional wages that you're thinking.
Correct, and it would only be for the ones who have worked during this year. I mean, anybody that didn't work any of the elections this year would not get that additional chamber buck.
Okay. So the wage increase would go into effect and be a permanent thing forward. The idea of bonus gifting with the chamber dollars would be just in working during the pandemic year.
Just for 2020 elections, yes.
Okay. Do we need to have a more specific amount kind of finalized before we make that motion?
It would probably be a good idea.
You can specify. You can specify. So you could specify $50 or $100 in the motion.
Sure. Does anybody else want to chime in on that?
Well, if we're gonna do the promotional thing or the bonus, I would probably recommend along the lines of doing $75 because they are still currently doing the Chamber Bucks promotion where you buy $50, you get another $25 for free, and that would just make things nice and simple here for the village and purchasing it or divvying it out. But that's, once again, it's up to the board on how much we want to give out. How many election officials do we have currently running these things?
We would have, I would say we'll have at least 10 for the November election. You know, hopefully I can get 12 people to work the November election. There are going to be a lot of absentee ballots to process, and they need to take a break every once in a while because going steady for 14 plus hours is just getting to be hard, especially with all the extra equipment on. So I would guess 10 to 12 people.
Do you
And then
think,
were there people,
do you think you're going to actually get more people by raising the hourly wage?
I don't necessarily think I'm going to get more people by raising the hourly rate. I know that Madison and there's some larger communities that are attempting to do that. However, they are paying over $20 an hour, which is something that's not going to happen for us. I just think $7 and $8 an hour, or $8 and $9 an hour, I should say, is really minimal for what they're having to do in a day.
so then my only other question was, you said that any elections that occurred during this pandemic, so are some of the people who worked in earlier elections going to be returning in that 12th, or do you think there's going to, I'm just trying to get an idea of how many bonuses you're thinking of you're going to need.
I would say the total amount for the bonuses would be under $1,500. Most of our election workers that worked in April are returning for August. We have one new person that's coming in. And I'm hoping to have 2 more election officials work November than worked in April. So, you know, like I said, there could potentially be 10 to 15 different people that would get that bonus.
Any other thoughts?
Gansert Mike here. I'm gonna abstain because of potential conflict of interest.
Yeah, me too. This is Chuck.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to raise the wages for the poll workers and to do a $50 chamber bonus for each one of the workers that worked during the pandemic time.
I would second that, Lori Wirtz.
Okay, we have a motion in a second. Do we have any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, discussion, consideration, relocation of 2020 presidential electing polling place to the New Glarus Fire Department.
Again, due to the ongoing pandemic and the expected high turnout in November, staff will use the fire department as the ideal location to host the November election. The fire department is large enough to accommodate a waiting area inside while still social distancing in the event of inclement weather. Space will also allow greater space between voting booths and poll worker stations. Additionally, if weather permits, some of the bay doors could be opened to improve airflow. Fire District Board would need to approve the village's request to use their building. And then another additional benefit to this is if the board does choose to move the polling location to the fire department, we would house the police department in the community room during the construction phase of the remodel, which would save between $6,000 minimum for the rental of a trailer, and then an additional cost of providing utilities to that trailer as well. So there would be a cost savings, an indirect cost savings to the village by moving it due to being able to put the police department temporarily in the community room to operate out of. So staff is recommending requesting the district board grant permission for the village to host the November election in the fire department building. This would ultimately have to appear on their agenda and be approved by the fire district board. So this would just be approving the request to ask them to do so, and then they would ultimately let us know if it was approved to use their building for the November election only.
So Drake,
And
can I
have
assume
talked to
that
the
you?
fire chief, and Yep, I talked to the fire chief, and he told me that it would be ultimately the district board decision. He did have us, Lynn and I did go over and walk through the building to get an initial layout to make sure that it would work. And we're confident that it would be the better choice for handling possible large amounts of people who are looking to vote on November 3rd.
This is Chuck. I would move the motion, a motion to request the fire board to allow the use of the building for the November 3rd election.
I will second that, Peggy.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. President's report, discussion consideration, committee appointments. Where is it here? Thank you. Becca Stauffaker said she would be willing to serve on the plan commission, and also, as of today, Tara Wild said she would also serve on the plan commission. So that would fill that committee. We'd have full amount of people on there. So I'm proposing Becca and Tara to be on the plan commission.
Drake? Hey, Drake, this is Lynn. Did we double check with Tara on the residency?
Yeah, she told me she is the resident of the village.
Okay, thank you.
Is that a requirement?
Yes.
Okay. This is Chuck. Chuck Phillips, and I would move to approve the appointment of Becca Stauffaker, who I assume is a resident of the village, and Tara Wild to the Plan Commission.
Answered, Mike, I would second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any further business? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Good night.